Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about 5 makeup tips that every beauty photographer should know. So I feel like this is something that we haven't really touched on too much on my channel yet, but I think it's really important for beauty photographers to know about. And admittedly, I'm not a makeup artist myself, but I have spent a lot of time around makeup artists in the past, on shoots, on test shoots, on campaigns, and all the rest of it. So I really thought I would channel some of their advice that I have learned over the years, especially for beauty photography, and chat to you guys a little bit about what can really help your beauty images stand out from the rest, and really what can get the most quality out of them in terms of makeup and retouching afterwards. And I want to make a quick little shout out here to 2 of my very good friends in Melbourne, Stella Chu and Nicole Aquilina. They're both makeup artists that I've worked with on many occasions throughout my portfolio work, and I really want to make mention of them here because I feel like they're not here today to talk about some of these tips, and I do feel like I owe them a little bit of credit for this video. So I'm going to make this little shout out to them, and please go and check out their work. They have some amazing makeup work over on their Instagrams, so go and check them out and give them a follow. So moving into the video now, I want to talk about the first point, and the first tip is to apply a very thin layer of foundation when you're doing beauty shoots. So this point is something, and most of these points will be something that you should be discussing with a makeup artist on the day if you are having one on board for a beauty shoot. And sometimes you might be working with a makeup artist that is quite new to beauty photography, and maybe they've focused on doing more bridal and events work before, and beauty photography is very new to them. And something that I find is quite unknown at this stage in some of those makeup artists' career is that they tend to apply quite thick layers of foundation. And for beauty photography, this doesn't work very well because you're really losing a lot of the skin texture. You're losing a lot of the real skin and the pores underneath. And you really want to be able to see that. This is going to make it a lot easier for when you're retouching later on. It's going to give you a lot more texture to work with, and it is going to look more natural overall. So one thing to really have in discussion with a makeup artist prior to your beauty shoot, if you're new to doing this, and if they're new to doing this as well, is to really make sure that you're applying thin layers of foundation to the model's skin. It really needs to be almost barely there. And even if the model does have problematic skin, so if they do have a bit of acne or blemishes going on, it's still better to have that thin layer of foundation and maybe a little bit of concealer to touch up those areas, because it will really help you out when you're retouching later on. Blemishes and acne can be relatively easy to remove, but you really still need that texture there for the skin. So I would really recommend that you guys make sure you're kind of applying those thin layers of foundation, and that will help you out later with retouching. Even though it doesn't sound like it probably will, it probably sounds like it's going to have the opposite effect, but I promise you it will help you have a more editorial vibe and finish to your work in the end. My second makeup tip is to have a dewy mist spray or setting spray that is going to really enhance the highlights on the model's face. So if you want that really dewy, natural, glowy look, one of the best ways to achieve this is by using a mist, and that is really going to help with the lights picking up those highlights on the model's face. You can do a little bit with lighting and lighting setups to help enhance this effect, but I feel like unless you've got that mist and that you've got that highlight dewy look on the skin in the first place, it's going to make it harder for the lights to pick up that on the skin. So that's another thing that I would really discuss with a makeup artist prior to a beauty shoot, is if you're wanting a bit more of a dewy, glowy look, which a lot of the time is what is needed in beauty photographs, then I would definitely make sure to have that discussion beforehand too. My third tip is brushing the brows upwards will help give it a very soft, editorial kind of look with the images and help create a very natural vibe to the images as well. It is a very big trend that has been going around for a couple of years and is still going around at the moment, and it really does help to create a little bit of texture in the brows and to give it that slightly more editorial look in beauty photographs. So this is something that I would recommend doing too if you're really looking for a very natural look. Brushing the brows up can kind of add a little bit of a fashion element to the photograph while still keeping everything looking very natural in shot. My fourth tip is to avoid using too much in terms of fake lashes. Now, I want to go into this a little bit further and say when I say fake lashes, I mean full strip and heavy lashes. So anything that's too thick looking or unnatural looking, I tend to find doesn't really translate well in a beauty shoot. For one point, a lot of the time the light will actually reflect off the lashes, so you can actually see the shine on the fake lash strip. And a lot of the time if it's a thick fake lash strip, it just doesn't look very effective in photographs and beauty photographs. It doesn't give that natural effect. Even for bolder looks, it kind of looks very structured and doesn't quite bring that fashion element to the images. Be very careful when you and the makeup artist are selecting fake lashes, because fake lash strips can work, but I generally would tend to recommend having something a lot more natural looking and something a little bit more sparse in terms of how many lashes are on the strip. Either that or using individuals tend to create the most natural effect, or maybe the best effect when you're actually looking at beauty photography in particular. And that's something that I highly recommend doing. And my last tip today is actually to talk a little bit about not always being so precise. So I was talking a little bit before about how some makeup artists that are newer to beauty photography tend to be a little bit more experienced a lot of the time in doing bridal or event sessions, and a lot of that involves a lot of precision with the makeup. Everything is quite precise, everything looks very airbrushed and beautiful and perfect looking, but sometimes with beauty photography you have to kind of take away those standards a little bit in certain areas and really sort of think outside of the box in terms of how you're doing the makeup and how it's being applied. And as a beauty photographer, I think you need to also be including in the inspiration boards things that tend to have more of an editorial vibe if that's the look that you're going for, and know what look you want to achieve with the end result. There's so many different styles of makeup when it comes to beauty photography, and if you're looking at going for a more painterly effect, then that involves being less precise, and a lot of makeup styles for beauty photography do involve being less precise. As I said with the first tip, applying a very thin layer of foundation to the skin won't actually make it look very perfect, but that's okay because that's going to be part of the process with you retouching as well at the end, and you do want to achieve that sort of natural effect with the skin a lot of the time. Obviously, like I said, this does depend on what kind of a shoot you're going for and what kind of a look that you're going for, but sometimes it's important to strip things back a bit, not always think of precision and thinking that everything has to be super perfect in a shot, or super perfect makeup wise with makeup styles. If you notice a lot of the inspiration out there for makeup editorials and beauty editorials, you'll notice that the makeup isn't perfect, or it doesn't have that perfect effect. So sometimes it's good to think outside of the box and think past perfect wings or perfect blending or perfect looking eye makeup. It is sometimes okay to break the rules when it does come to beauty makeup. However, having said that, sometimes precision is definitely called for in beauty makeup, and there are things that will make your life easier for retouching. So making sure that certain areas are blended is important, and making sure, depending on the makeup look that you choose, you know kind of what effect you want with it. That's going to be the main thing that you'll have to take into consideration. I hope you guys learned a few things from this video, and I hope it was informative for you. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please click the subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you see all the videos that I do have coming up in future. If you guys want to see more videos on makeup tips and things like that, please let me know, as I have thought about getting some makeup artists on my channel eventually to chat further about these kinds of topics and to give more tips. So if you want to see more of that on my channel, let me know in the comment section below. Until the next video though, I will see you guys then, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!